Fear of distance. How do you treat distance, and is it necessary?
I have an interesting relationship with it because I love distance until I don't. It's like I have a hard time participating or engaging in the things that would nurture closeness and intimacy. And because I struggle with that, I've learned to prefer to be by myself because I don't have to struggle with myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's easier for me to socialize with me. So I think that's, just something that has been easy. But then I noticed that it makes me further away from people. And it makes it harder for me to come back in and engage. So
let's talk about coming back in.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Tell me about the art of coming back in after distance.
Ooh, it's a tough one because you feel a lot of guilt because so much, and I think this is something that I feel like we all, in the age of like microwave relationships and microwave like expectations where this has to be now. I thought about one, on average, I think I'm having about 10 conversations at the same time a day. On average.
Yeah.
And that's text message, that's phone calls, that's Instagram, that's Facebook.
Yeah.
There's so much chatter.
Yeah.
So it goes into this concept of ghosting. People say, oh, ghosting is bad and you should never do that. But if you think about it, how many relationships are we trying to maintain every day?
Yeah.
And so much happens to you and to a person in a span of time, minutes, hours. I can't possibly explain to you, every last one of you. I can't explain to you why I cannot bring forth the energy to connect. All I know is that right now I can't. I just can't. And so we live in a society that, we have expectations, and we were actually talking about that before, where we have expectations based off of our own backgrounds and our own values. And when you haven't met that person's expectation, you feel like a failure, regardless of whether it's your fault or not, or whether you actually did something wrong intentionally. You still feel that guilt because you didn't live up to whether it's their standard or the social standard, the socially agreed upon standard.
Yeah. Which means you didn't agree to it. That's what everybody else
Yes, and so now you are exiled, and it's just like, or you feel exiled, or you exile yourself. It makes coming back harder and more painful.
What's painful about that experience? Because you said more painful, which means there's layers to pain.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's the fear. Like, fear is painful.
Yeah.
All the things that your mind comes up with in your head that could go wrong, that person is saying, that person is mad, that person you're projecting.
They are going wrong to you.
Yes.
They are going wrong
yes.
right now. Yeah.
And then it just creates this chaos in your mind that feels like an eternity. But it's just like, it's literally the difference between writing a text message that takes 5 seconds or making a phone call that's going to take you 5 minutes to have, or a conversation that's going to take you 5 minutes to have. But inside of here, it's taking years, eons. You're traveling through space in here just to get to that point. And that process is painful. It's very hard because you feel exhausted after all of that. All those scenarios. It kind of, I don't know if you're seeing Black Mirror where...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have that episode, I think it's White Christmas, where it's like when they have these worlds inside of the worlds, inside of the worlds, inside of the worlds, and they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's who's supposed to keep track of all this.
Yes,
yeah.
And which reality is the right one, I guess. Yeah.
Would you say sometimes you have to pick and choose your reality?
Yeah. Sometimes I have to pick mine. Sometimes I have to pick what I think is theirs.
Have you ever had to help someone readjust their interpretation of you and what you're going through?
Yeah, and that was hard.
Okay.
It was hard. Because, again, we're talking about different experiences of time. Their experiences of time is, maybe I wasn't there for them. Maybe I wasn't, present for this moment, or maybe they, I didn't respond to this question, and my experience of time is different, because for me it's, I'm going through a crazy thing, and to have to explain that is hard, because I had to remove my ego a little bit and recognize that we are all a part of a collective experience here, and we need each other, and recognizing when it is time to show up and put your stuff aside for a second and show up is important. But also learning how to prioritize that is hard, because how many people would you consider to be in your circle?
Yeah.
How many people would you consider to be your friends or your family? You can't possibly have that with everybody, So.
Do you think